pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Our agenda, I understand we don't have any board recognition tonight, and the superintendent, you have a very brief update, or? Later? Okay. So it means we will come to the speakers immediately. So at this time, the board welcomes speakers who have signed up to speak at tonight's meeting. Please be reminded that all speakers' remarks must be limited to 3 minutes or less. We ask that speakers be mindful that this is a business meeting, open to the public and televised locally. Attendees and viewers include persons from throughout Western New York, including children. This board asks that speakers conduct themselves professionally and that their comments remain civil and courteous, bearing in mind that they will be heard by people of all ages. This is an opportunity for Buffalo's residents to address the Buffalo Board of Education about issues that serve the public interest and district mission, and the board asks that speakers demonstrate appropriate decorum. With that, I will call the first speaker, Rona Paul. Ms. Paul.
Good evening. So on your last comment, sir, you mentioned about teacher absences and why there were so many, but what I want to say to you is you have a gold mine in your district. You have teachers who have taught for 25, 30 years, still teaching. My question to you then is, why are you not sitting down face-to-face with them and saying, look, these are 5 major issues. Let's figure out 5 major solutions. Instead of, excuse me, using your eyes and ears from downtown, who may have been involved 25 years ago, but everything's changed. Our culture has changed. Our classrooms have changed. Yes, I know, same thing, same old, but that's the one thing I want to say. Now, as for our substitutes, that's why I was saying, you can say the word stress, and I can give you 10,000 reasons why they're off, but the point is, when they're off, we substitutes are there to take their place. We go in there, we teach, we're there for you. We are your line, and what we're asking is help us to help make the school safer, to help make us safer, to help our children get where they're supposed to get. That's what we want to do. That's what we're asking you to help us do. We have many ideas, and I'm telling you, just like with certain things, I know I could switch it around in 20 minutes. Just give me an appointment, I'll tell you how to do it. How's that? You've done some really good things in the district, but there are things that I'm telling you, I know you can do a lot better. And we're hoping that we're going to be one of the things that you're going to do better. Because we substitutes are there for you. We're working. We need your help. There's a lot of things. You yourself said there's a lot of principals and assistant principals that are young, that need a lot of experience. Then stop giving them tenure automatically after 3 years. They haven't learned enough. They keep throwing us all under the bus. Wait. You don't have to automatically give them tenure in 3 years. Let them learn what you say they have to learn. But you're not doing that. Everything is just an automatic thing. This comes up, oh yeah, give them tenure. Okay. They're not ready. There's a lot of things that we have issues that we can help you straighten out. Just let us. Thank you.
Marisol Antonetti.
Good evening. I'm a parent for 3 students over at School 18, and I am speaking in regards to the article they had in the Buffalo News. I feel like it's fighting fire with fire. They want to not have bullies in the school, and with this article, it kind of bullied the principal herself. I pulled 2 of my children out of the charter school so that they can attend at School 18. The reason is they helped better. And when my students started there was no principal. There was no set principal there. So when the principal we have now, she took on that, and she brought the chaos down. Less chaos than there's ever been when I've seen it in the past. I think we need more parents to step up and come to the school and see what we offer. I know that they are working, but they can get email addresses, call them, see if they have anything that they can do as a parent as well. I don't know what else to say. It's, in my opinion, it's horrible, this article that came out, and I felt horrible for any staff member over at the school. I'm in and out of there all the time. I go in and volunteer anytime I need to. I can speak to any teacher for my student if I need to. Any kind of issues I had, the principal sat down with me and we figured out a solution to every issue that we did come up with, so it's not like she's not there to help us. She's open to any suggestion from any parent, any grandparent, any parental person. So I don't know, I feel like this article was really bad in my opinion. So I think that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maricela Rodriguez.
Hello, everyone. I'm the school clerk at Buffalo Public School 18, and I work closely with the teachers, the administration, the students, and their families. When I was made aware of the allegations against the principal, I was deeply saddened, as I know the truth to the roots of all of this. And 3 minutes is not enough time to explain the countless calls I received from teachers screaming, swearing, and at times threatening students in front of the class. I have also been disrespected by teachers out of their frustration in the class. However, I humbly disregard them because I know it's hard working with students coming from different areas and having special needs. But it's not okay. And the teachers have been reprimanded for this kind of behavior, and I feel that they are retaliating against our principal because of it. This is not for the safety of our children, and to claim that as the motive to attempt to remove our principal is truly shameful in my eyes. And I'm sorry if my voice is a little rattly, I am nervous. But it is truly shameful in my eyes for them to use that as the motive for all of this. And I've seen her reactions under extreme pressure, and I admire her for the way she works with the kids instead of suspending them, knowing she has the ability to do so. I'd also like to clarify that all suspensions are documented by me, and it's not about numbers. These are our children's lives. They're our future, and not every disciplinary consequence requires an at-home suspension. Suspending students repeatedly is not successful, nor does it produce behavioral progress, and it is great to see her work with them to find other solutions. And that does not mean that their behavior goes dismissed, but that most of our students do need a listening ear to know that someone cares. Our principal does just that. She shows her compassion and understanding to the students and the staff. She is fair and supportive, and I would say she is a firm leader. The claim that she is racist has never been a thought in my mind, as she treats everyone with equal respect and care. She's open and understanding that everyone comes from different walks in life and wants to help them better themselves, and that goes for the parents as well. Being called a bully when you are in fact being bullied would seem discouraging to some, but she has handled all of this very well. I admire her strength and her positive spirit. It's not easy to accept that you're on a team with others that have created and manipulated a situation with the intent to harm you and say it's in the name of our children. I encourage everyone, parents, students, although I don't want them pressured by this, I would encourage everyone to speak up for what is right. I have faith and confidence that the truth will show itself, and I'm very proud to have her as our principal. I stand behind her as a mother, as an employee, and a former Buffalo Public School 18 student. I'd like to take this last moment to thank our hardworking and loving staff for not letting all of this affect the school's mission. And thank you all.
Gonzalez.
Hello. In my capacity as a school clerk of West Hurdle Academy, I worked closely with the principal at School 18 when she was an assistant principal at School 94 on a daily basis. I found her to be professional, caring, and willing to help in any way she could at any time of the day. She was efficient, fair, and did everything she could assist me with in all the functions of our main office for the day-to-day building operations. I personally would have been lost without her assistance. Her vast knowledge and shared experience has helped me grow in many areas. At times, we had difficult situations that needed to be handled with parents and/or students, and I could always count on her to solve these problems in an appropriate and professional manner. Parents that would come to the school angry with the situation would then leave with a smile on their face. To me, she seemed to have the experience to handle difficult situations, so everyone was treated equally and fair. In my opinion, she puts the welfare and safety of all the students and families first. Thank you very much.
Stephen Hicks. Mr. Hicks.
Good evening, board members, superintendent. I guess I'm just here to say we were on the list, so we were going to be here. But I guess I'd just like to say that, what can I say? I think that you are hearing us. You've given us indication that you hear us loud and clear. But let me just say this. There's a lot of other things that we can be instrumental in helping this district being more successful. Again, these are our kids. Those are my kids. Those are all of our substitute teachers' kids. So we just want to make sure that you understand that too, that we are out there to help you succeed in whatever your agenda is. And there's a lot of areas too, besides that one area that we're here harping about. As my secretary spoke on the part, she's very passionate about what we do and what she does. She's been doing it for a long time, as many of us have. So we just want to make you aware of that, and that, again, we just want you to pay attention. We can be an asset to you. We know that. And we just need you to know that. And I'm going to give you a little nugget before I leave. All of you. You need to pay attention to School 56. Look into that situation. That's all I'll say with that, okay? 56. School 56, Frederick Olmsted. Isn't that one of your elite schools, right? Look into that. Please. Thank you very much. I'll call you.
Shirley Sapp Burgess. Is Shirley Sapp Burgess here?
Not 156. Yeah, not 156. Minus 60.
Good evening. Oh, I really want to talk about something else besides the contract tonight. I'd like to talk about safety in the schools. We're having a some of us are having a problem with that. We have students who disrupt class and don't do what they're supposed to do. When we call for assistance, we don't get it. Sometimes you'll call for assistance at 9 o'clock in the morning. You don't see nobody. And the children know this. They know nobody, and they'll tell you, ain't nobody coming up here. They know they can get away with so much. I'm not saying that we should suspend everybody, because I know that's ridiculous. But we need to find a better way to let the students know that they are supposed to do certain things, and if they don't do them, this is not acceptable. It's not acceptable for the students. I'll give an example. We had a lockdown where the students are supposed to sit down on the floor quietly, not move, not talk, not get up. I think I must have told those kids, and they were 7th and 8th graders, I must have told them 15 times to get out the window. We had a lockdown. Suppose it was truly somebody out there, a sniper or something, and you standing up in the window? And then when somebody says something to you, and then 2 minutes later, you back in the window. There should have been some kind of repercussions for that. Because that not only endangered the kid that was in the window, if there was truly something going on, that let whoever it was know that there was somebody in that particular room. And this is why you're supposed to sit down and be quiet, keep the door locked. The principal actually had to come into the room and tell these children, these 7th and 8th graders, to be quiet. That's ridiculous. So again, I really want to figure out a way, or I would like to work with someone, or have somebody work with me, or work in the system to let the students know what's expected of them. And to let them know if we don't get what is expected of them, there are repercussions. Thank you.
Jessica Barr Walker.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Cash. My name is Jessica Barr Walker. I am a very involved parent, and I'm the director of the Community Health Worker Network of Buffalo. I'm here this evening to talk about the topic of communication. In many of the spaces that I've been working in since my daughter started pre-K 7 years ago, I see a lot of positive things going on in the district and lots of forward movement on a lot of different fronts. I also see that we're struggling with communication on many levels, that we're still struggling to find a common language and an adequate infrastructure to communicate, especially across stakeholder groups, because we know that we have a very diverse body of parents and students, and that administrators communicate different from teachers, communicate different from parents and students. And so it's really important, I think, that we start to focus on this as a foundational piece to support a lot of the work that we're doing. If parents are not aware of what's going on in community schools, for example, they can't access those resources. And then when parents and students have issues or problems, or if they have resources and assets, it's a lot of times difficult for parents and students to communicate that, especially up through their schools and into district leadership. So we would really like to encourage new platforms and spaces for unheard voices. We recently actually conducted a project entitled Unheard Voices that one of my colleagues will speak about from the Ujima Theater Company in a moment. And arts and culture and storytelling is in creating these safe spaces for parents and students is really critical to be able to understand their needs as well as what their assets are. I'd like to encourage us to have a communication structure and a plan with multi-pronged platforms and boots on the ground. So we're not just talking about, public relations and communications to get messages out. That's important as well. But we really need trusted sources in the community. That's why we've done things like train parents and students to be community health workers. So we have those trusted messengers that can understand what's going on in the district and speak that language, but also be able to translate that stuff to what's going on the ground as well. We have to find ways that we can talk with each other too and not at each other. Sometimes it feels like coming to board meetings is, when we have our 3 minutes, is the best way to get our messages across, and there's got to be other ways that we can communicate again in a bottom-up and top-down way. I just came from a meeting to talk about restorative justice and practices, and one of the questions I raised was, how are we integrating this to the district? How are we making sure that we talk to each other in a way that's trauma-informed and restorative and that honors our full humanity? So I'd like us to really think about how we can do this, how we can use different modes of communication, how we can build out our infrastructure and have a plan so that we all understand each other better, we all have a shared vision, we all have a goal, and we're all working towards that together. And again, there's this two-way communication where we're not just receiving messages from the district, but we are communicating as parents and students as well. Thank you.
How you doing? Good. Go ahead and get this started. All right. So, my name is Sherman Webb Middlebrooks. For some of you who may know, may not know, lifelong Buffalo resident, full-time black man. Here to discuss communication and closing some of the gaps related to student and family support. I'm also here to discuss some of the remaining barriers that I see to closing these gaps. Regarding some of the things that are working, though, I would like to lift up the roles of the community schools and the Saturday academies. Me and my colleagues have been a part of various trainings and different events that are going on at these Saturday academies. And also, they help support us with the Unheard Voices production as well.
Also, I have been contacted and worked with community schools navigators at Lafayette and North Park Academy who are interested in tapping into me and my WIN initiative platform to increase the visibility for their Saturday academies and the program that they have there. I also spoke with board member McCosey, who has also expressed interest in increasing her own personal visibility to the community. I like to think I have been using this analogy lately that the board members are sort of like the Buffalo Bills offensive line. You're here to protect us and take care of us, and you're sort of very important, but we often don't know who you guys are. We may be in Walmart with you, we may be in Tops with you, but people in the community don't always know who you are and thus don't really feel comfortable always approaching members of the board and the superintendent to share their concerns. So I want to commend board member McCosey for reaching out to me and trying to increase our visibility. So that's something that I would like to also lift up. I would like to encourage the board though to also find ways to lift up student and community voice. As my colleague mentioned before, our Unheard Voices program was received with mixed reviews, but it was a wonderful opportunity for students and families to share their concerns in a way where they felt comfortable, and we would like to see more opportunities where the board creates chances for students and families to be involved. I had a long list of about 6-7 young people who wanted to attend and speak today, but weren't unable to due to like family needs and work restraints and things of that nature. And so if there's some way we can get this going where young people can speak during maybe the school day or something where that's structured for student council, maybe where there is a more direct link to the youth voice to the board, so that way they don't have to miss out on work or after school commitments that they may have, that would be something that I would love to see. And wrapping that up, in terms of the Unheard Voices production, I would just encourage the board to reduce some of their level of sensitivity and just be willing to hear some of the community's perceptions of you, which might not always paint you in a favorable light, and to not take that into offense, but to look at why some people may look at the board in that negative light and to address some of those concerns that people may have instead of taking things personally. I have actually pictures of our Unheard Voices flyer that was turned down by the board. It is being featured in the SEPA Art Gallery this month, end of this month. So thank you very much.
Jessica Emerson?
Should I just start?
Yes.
Good evening, Dr. Seals Nevergold and the Buffalo School Board members, Dr. Cash, and fellow Buffalo Public School staff. My name is Jessica Emerson, and I am a staff member at School 18. I feel compelled to address this board as comments have previously been made about my direct experiences, including the accusation that my principal made a derogatory ethnic comment to me regarding being Polish. Over 8 months ago, my principal and I had a side conversation about the hiccups when she responded with a non-aggressive, humorous comment, and I am unclear as to why it was repeated as denigrating in this venue. It is reprehensible that the School 18 faculty would document this conversation without my consent in an inaccurate and unfair portrayal. I want to address the topic of building safety, as this was also discussed at the previous board meeting. In my role as school social worker, facilitator of our MTSSB team, and co-facilitator of behavior grade levels for 7th and 8th grade teachers, I work closely with administration to address behaviors in the building and ensure the safety of everyone. Currently, we review data, implement a restorative practice model, and continually evaluate this approach to address barriers to successful implementation. Our principal is an active leader during these meetings. She continually problem solves, addresses safety concerns, and collaborates with district personnel when needed. The accusation stated in the Buffalo News article that our principal is, quote, covering up the true state of chaos at School 18 in order to make her suspension data look good to school district personnel is erroneous. I collect data weekly, collate it, and share it with administration. This data is shared monthly in our MTSSB meetings, as well as included in the weekly bulletin by our principal. Importantly, all School 18 staff receive the weekly bulletin and are invited to attend these meetings. Finally, I believe it is crucial to emphasize the positive impact our principal has had on our staff and students. She took over a building with rapidly declining test scores and at risk for receivership with stamina, determination, and an action plan. She continues to hold us to high standards of rigorous instruction and provides effective feedback. To further meet staff needs, she has requested specialized trainings and has even invited district officials in to meet with staff and complete climate walkthroughs. Unfortunately, I believe that there are teachers who have become frustrated with these efforts and heightened expectations and are using this complaint as a way to target our principal. It saddens me that she has been met with so much resistance, all in an attempt to create an improved school with students who meet state expectations. Dr. Martin Luther King said, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort, but where he stands at times of challenge." Even during this difficult time, when our principal has been dishonestly represented and her character defamed, she has continued to lead by example, remaining optimistic and continuing her work with the utmost commitment, sincerity, and integrity. There are many teachers that... Oh, should I stop?
I'm afraid so. I did let you go a little bit beyond the bell. Thank you. Jacqueline Morris.
Good evening. My name is Jacqueline Morris, and I'm a member of the Junior High 12-on-1 team at School 18. I'm heartbroken and deeply hurt by my peers, as they seem to have had different experiences than I have had at School 18. Over the last 2 years, School 18 has become a revolving door for administrators, as we have had 4 different administrators come into our building to replace the 2 administrators that have led our building for over 15 years. With each new administrator came a new set of expectations and guidelines, if you may, that place a lot of pressure on us teachers. And as expected, our current principal stepped into the building. She came in with high expectations and strict guidelines, as her #1 focus was to make us a building in good standing. She put her goal into view by visiting classrooms, continuously speaking with and building relationships with teachers, students, staff, and opening a line of communications for all stakeholders. And she continues to keep this line open for everyone even today. What blew me away was that in her first couple of months, she was able to call each of my 12-on-1 students by name, ask them questions about their personal interests, while still taking into consideration their disability classifications. She worked alone for approximately 4 months before an assistant principal was added to the team, and she stayed true to the course. Over the summer, our current administration reviewed our SIG grant and revised our school improvement plan against our current data. The plan that she put into place not only put our students first, but placed our teachers into a position of success as well. Since September, we have had opportunities for paid professional development to train us on how to implement these new programs and help us to place these new strategies into our classrooms. All of this was specifically aligned to our students' needs. I personally have been placed with 2 special education coaches that have helped me to increase my rigor and develop strong expectations for my students that are otherwise low performing. To say that our principal is creating a hostile environment for students is absurd. She is focused on changing our building's mindset, which in turn has ruffled some feathers. Personally, someone who has placed concrete expectations on myself as a teacher to create an environment full of rigor, to challenge my students and myself to be the best that we can be, is the principal for me. And more importantly, I have never felt unable to approach my principal or my assistant principal, no matter the situation. I feel energized and motivated every day, not scared or disrespected. Thank you.
There, not sure I'm pronouncing the first name right. Gilly, last one.
Had to work. I was one of the young people who had to work and wanted
Oh,
to be here.
I see. All right, thank you. Khadijah Hussein.
Good evening. My name is Khadijah Hussein. I am a community health worker and a recent graduate of Buffalo Public Schools. Today I'm going to speak behalf on the lack of cultural and religion awareness of Islam in the Buffalo Public Schools. A lot of us know that the mission of Buffalo Public School is putting children and family first to ensure high academic achievement for all. And many of us can fairly say it doesn't seem that way to us. About a year and a couple months ago, I spoke behalf on this on the Buffalo Board of Education meeting and also at the first ever BPS Urban Formal Student Panel, March 14, 2016. I feel like more needs to be done to make sure Muslim students are being heard and our cultural needs are being better understood. According to Pew Research, Islam ranks the world's second largest religion with 1.8 billion people after Christianity, 2.3 billion. And Islam ranks the second largest non-Christianity religion in United States. Also, according to research, Islam is growing more rapidly more rapidly than any other religion in the world, and the religion will nearly be or equal to Christianity about between the year of 2050 and 2070 if trends continue. I believe your mission can't be successful if you're not understanding where a large portion of your students are coming from. Yet, the district state's commitment to culture and linguistically response of teaching and students and still students get asked during Ramadan, why aren't you not eating? Our school and district is very diverse, and I like to talk more about my community and my family. The people of my community are not asking for the whole month of Ramadan off because obviously we understand that that can't be. But we are asking that one of our most holiest holiday, which is Eid, for us to get off. And also not just we go to school on that holiday, but we have to come to school and take an exam on our most important holiday that we only get twice a year. Today I want to educate the Board of Education a little of Islamic background. When it comes to calendar, Islam is probably one of the only religions that have a different calendar that's not parallel to the American calendar. Our months and days are based on the moon, and each year Ramadan and Eid comes earlier, and that means it gets closer and closer to region exam times. This year, Ramadan will start around May 15 and then around June 15, and Eid will follow up right after about June 15 to the 19th. New York State exams are from June 5th, 12th to 21st, and that means Muslim students will be taking an important exam that they cannot miss on the day that they're supposed to be spending with their families. As an educated person of as a dedicated person of my community, I am willing to help educate the Board of Education of our Islamic community and our Islamic holidays and more on that. I'm hoping that, and I'm asking and hoping that you guys make Eid a district holiday just like NYC did and other school districts around the United States did.
Thank you, Khadijah. Diatra Hassan. Diatra Hassan.
Peace and blessings. My name is Diatra Hassan Silva, and I'm a parent of 3 children in the Buffalo School District, and I'm also the project coordinator of Ujima Company. This past December, we presented a project called Unheard Voices, giving voice to issues of equity through parents and students of Buffalo Public Schools. We seek to identify members of the community, often unheard, and engage them in dialogues and permit them to make their own voices heard, to tell their own stories and articulate their own needs. Likewise, the project seeks to engage organizational and community leaders to hear from their diverse constituencies with the goal to bridge the gap of understanding and bring cultural sensitivity to those we entrust with our health and well-being. In this project, we explore issues of equity experienced by Buffalo Public School parents and students. We discuss race, culture, gender, family and community history as it relates to education, health, income level, and overall well-being. It's important to lift up the artistic process. The creation of a space of safety is fundamental in order for people to discuss challenging topics and barriers. We created this space to invite parents and students who have a wide variety of experiences, challenges, and opinions. And we realized that some of the things they had to say were difficult for the district administrators and board members to hear. We thank those of you who listened to us in the spirit that our message was intended, speaking our truth in the way that we experienced it. We also provided talkbacks after each performance where we discussed the process and answered questions from the audience. And bottom line, we found through this process, which was a 6-month process of research, workshops, and educating each other, that we basically want the same thing for our students, for our young people to flourish. So we want to urge the Board of Education to consider the role that local artists can play in an effort to improve communications, as well as educate ourselves, each other, and our youth through the arts and artistic practice. Ujima Company is also engaged with My Brother's Keeper as a prime example of the arts being used to deliver an important message. We also brought Free Fred Brown to students in Buffalo schools. Free Fred Brown is a social justice play that allows the audience to witness civic engagement in action. Dr. Morrell acknowledged that telling them about it or having them read about it was not sufficient. The play allowed them to see regular people, people who looked like them, spoke like them, working together cooperatively to address the needs of their community. Utilizing the arts as a means for communication is a tremendous untapped resource in our community, especially our school communities. We need to work together to improve parent, student, and community participation and engagement in the education of our children. I personally learned a whole lot through this experience of these 3 projects that I just spoke of, and I think that we need to commit to coming together and engaging in the artistic process. Thank you.
Good evening, Superintendent Cash, school board members, and the central office staff. My name is Linda Siekman-Dugan, and I'm a proud member of Substitutes United Buffalo. Last month, I spoke before you disheartened and with great frustration at the stalemate negotiations between the board and our union. Today, 1 month later, I am heartened and hopeful. As a new member of the Substitutes United negotiations team, I had the pleasure of formally meeting and working with the Buffalo Board of Education's negotiation team. Ms. Warren, Mr. Brown, and Mr. Kuzma presented an offer on behalf of Superintendent Cash and the board that reflected an appreciation for the hard work and dedication of the substitute teachers of Buffalo. The details of the offer still need to be finalized, but I am confident and hopeful we will work together at tomorrow's meeting to make it so. It is heartening to know we are on the same page with many educational and professional issues, and we are getting so close to resolving the monetary issues. I would like to send my personal thanks to Ms. Warren, Mr. Brown, and Mr. Kuzma for their professionalism and genuine respect for our negotiating team, and in turn for the substitute teachers of Buffalo. I look forward to working with the Buffalo Board of Education, not only on the contract, but also with future endeavors to better the education of our Buffalo Public Schools students. Please know that any contract agreement made must be fair and equitable to all substitute teachers. We are united and stand together, heartened and hopeful for a good faith contract. Thank you.
Larry Scott.
Good evening. As you know, it's a priority of the BPTO this year to address NFTA transportation for our Buffalo students. Last Thursday, we facilitated a public forum on this matter with NFTA staff and the BPS Chief of Operations. We had a turnout of 75, including 20 passionate speakers, some of our students who spoke eloquently. Thank you to the board members from Ferry and Central Districts who attended. We are having a professional film of the forum and related events produced, and we'll share as soon as it's available. It was loud and clear that the current policy and practices are complicated, limit access, and are unsafe for many of our students. In the NFTA presentation, 7 different passes were described for our students to access transportation. 7. In fact, The NFTA presenter even made the statement that students can manipulate the use of these passes for transportation. Yes, manipulate was the word that was used. It was loud and clear. As you should know, the current contract with NFTA is over 20 years old, and the board pays NFTA about $8 million per year to transport about 10,200 Buffalo charter and public students. This is the third highest vendor contract in your budget, which breaks down to an individual rate of $75 per month, the same rate for an adult monthly pass. Concern from parents, caregivers, community, and students on NFTA transportation has reached a high point, where current policy punishes those students and families that don't have their own transportation over others that do. There are many specific concerns I can share, but the latest came from a parent just last night. His daughter, who had a pass, had to pay to take the bus home from the Utica station after a basketball game at Bennett because she took the 13 instead of the 12. Now, some could say, well, she should have waited for the 12, but why? Why should a 9th grade student wait in the dark, in the cold, at 9 o'clock at night? Why? I know that many of you have been listening and understanding the concerns. It's time for the board to step up and make major change in this contract with NFTA a priority. We need to simplify this with one accessible pass. We need policies and practices that center on learning and enrichment, policies and practices that are just, fair, and safe. We need policies and practices which begin with addressing the needs of most of our students rather than what we have now, policies and practices dictated by the concern of a small percentage of students who may be disruptive and or violent. This shouldn't be the place we begin. Give our kids a chance, give them fair transportation access, then enforce reasonable limits and restrictions on those students who become problematic. Don't indefinitely punish all because of the actions of a few. Thank you for listening, and I hope that you'll join us to make this a top priority and compel necessary change. And just on another note, I just came from School 6, where I sat in on a restorative practice circle with students, staff, community partners, and it was fantastic. There's been some misinformation out there about restorative practices, some misdirection and blame for some problems that are going on, and I suggest that anybody that has concerns about implementation of restorative practices attend School 6 and see what they're doing there, because it's happening in the right way. Thank you.
Hi. I'm Ms. Shippens. I'm a Buffalo teacher. I'm a parent of Bennett High School students, and I'm also an alumni. When I went to Buffalo Public Schools, we had one bus pass that was good to 6 p.m. and had no routing. Of course, this tells you how old I am. But in any case, I could get all over the city. My family was too poor to have a car. I had no access to museums or to my friends' houses or anywhere in the city, any community activities without my bus pass. And I made good use of the bus pass. I was all over the place. I was at museums. I was downtown in the library almost every day. I was able to get to my friends' houses and work on group projects or get extra help or give extra help. And so these bus passes were my ticket to the world. And it gave me access to things that I normally would not have had. Now, our kids right now are restricted. My son comes from a place of privilege. He's on every after-school activity, sports team, whatever, and he has money in his pocket. He can get home from anywhere or explore anywhere in the city because he has that access. But my students that I teach over at Community East do not necessarily have the same privileges. Some of the athletes do, some of the kids who do after school, but most of the kids, if they're not in a program, that's it. They have their bus pass. You better get on that special. See you tomorrow morning. So to have one pass that allows kids to have this access, this is allowing them to explore other neighborhoods, other cultures, get involved with arts and community projects. And this is something that they really need to do. A lot of our quote-unquote troublemaker kids are troublemaker kids because they're bored or unmotivated. One of the ways to get them motivated is to give them access and opportunity. And these bus passes are exactly that, access and opportunity. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Rachel Dominguez, and I am an executive board member of the Buffalo Parent Teacher Organization. I'm here tonight also to talk about the NFTA contract to transport Buffalo Public School students. I've spoken with and listened to many parents and students in the district about our current system. The BPTO passed a resolution to represent the concerns of community members in renegotiating this contract, and we are now collaborating with many partners to call for a restructuring of the NFTA contract with the district. Our community partners include the Crossroads Collective, which is an alliance committed to building a new community economy focused on justice. And in this case, we believe that transportation justice is linked to education justice, which is in turn linked to racial and economic justice. In addition to the backing of the Crossroads Collective, we have also had the following groups and organizations endorse and sign on to our resolution: Buffalo Transit Riders United, Buffalo Immigrant and Refugee Leadership Team, Citizen Action of Western New York, Coalition for Economic Justice, Western New York Peace Center, Queers for Racial Justice, Partnership for the Public Good, Open Buffalo, Buffalo Teachers Federation, and Tapestry Charter School. All of these organizations are making a very concise ask, one that you've already heard discussed by a couple of other speakers tonight. We are asking for one pass. The contract with the NFTA needs to be renegotiated, and the details surrounding transportation need to be cleaned up. The contract was last negotiated 20 years ago, and there are 20 years of bureaucratic decisions layered onto the transportation of youth in our district. So let's do something simple. Let's open up access. There will be young people who push the boundaries of acceptable behavior. There will be young people who don't do the right thing and who put themselves and others at risk on public transit. But let's not punish all the students who are doing the right thing, who are trying to get to school, home from school, to the library, to a sports event, to an after-school enrichment activity, in order to clamp down on the students who are behaving wrongly. That's a punitive system, and it isn't just. Let's open up access and create a one-pass system. At the NFTA forum that we held last week, one BPS student spoke eloquently about how his bus pass only allowed him to take one route home, but that there is another bus that travels the exact same route he needs to go. He stands in the cold watching bus after bus pass him by, knowing that he could hop on that bus and make it home, except that his pass restricts him from doing this. These are the kinds of restrictions that youth and their parents and caregivers are upset about, and with good reason. The solution is simple. We need a one-pass system. We pay full fare, and our youth deserve full service. Thank you.
Annette Meyer here? Samuel Radford.
Good evening, Superintendent, board members. Sam Radford, President, District Parent Coordinating Council. Happy New Year to you. I'm here tonight. First and foremost, I just want to say we stand in solidarity with BPTO and the community and on the issue of the NFTA, as well as community health workers as it relates to the issues that they've raised tonight. But what I'm here to talk about tonight, there was a time where I always used this platform to speak. I very rarely use this platform now, and the reason why is because in so many ways the district is moving in the right direction. The board working together well, superintendent providing outstanding leadership, and there are so many ways to solve a problem before it gets here. It almost never has to get here, and so I'm coming here hopeful that what the issue I'm raising does not bring us to a situation where we're working against each other, because up until now we've been working together very well collaboratively. But I am concerned as a parent of a child at City Honors, also as a President District Parent Coordinating, as a former teacher. this issue where we potentially may be giving preferential treatment to the teachers of city honors, where they don't have to do lunch duty and they don't have to do bus duty while every other teacher in the district has to do that, makes absolutely no sense to us. We think it's patently unfair. At this point, again, we don't necessarily, want to get into a public battle about it. Our understanding was that there was going to be an effort to try to resolve it. We hope that it is resolved, and we would like to keep it that way. But I'm concerned because I sent an email, a letter that go out to teachers that basically try to put parents against parents while they try to protect teachers from being against teachers. And at this particular point, I think it's important for us to stay on the track that we've been on, everybody working together, and to think that the teachers who actually get to essentially pick their students, they get the top students in the district, to think that some kind of way that the teachers at all the other schools could not use that time to be able to do something else, it's just ridiculous. And for us to get into that where the privileged want more privilege at the expense of everybody else, and then want us to spend district dollars to pay for that when we wrestle with a deficit, it's just, to me, irresponsible. And I just want to be on the record so that nobody else purports to speak for parents. So we pulled our members. We've communicated at the building level. I've talked to my son and the students there, and all of us are in support of the teachers of City Islands doing what every other teacher in the district got to do, and they don't get special treatment. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Leonard Pleasant. I'm a substitute teacher for Buffalo, New York. The role of a substitute, I have the opportunity to go to see many schools and interact with many children. Recently, I just was certified in the DACA training. And the thing I have with the DACA training is that me being a substitute, I do not form the relationships that regular teachers do. And also, the training consists of having some type of relationship with the child. And also, my other concern is, what about the victim? The child is having trouble. He disrupts the class. We take the child out, try to bring him back. But what about the other children that are affected by this outburst, by this bullying, whatever the problem may be? I think that we need to sit down and look and really refine practices before we institute them for the children and for the district. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Bonnie, for your best choice. Bonnie?
My name is Bonnie General Vasquez. I'm a veteran teacher and enrolled Cayuga from the Six Nations Reserve. I'm here today because I have to break my silence. I feel I have been doing a disservice to the Native American community that I have devoted a lifetime of service to. So for my predecessors, I had come to speak to you to raise awareness about our school. Quality education needs to represent all people and their history, culture, and values. Cultural responsiveness needs to be all-inclusive. For the Native American Magnet School, the foundation, the cornerstone, starts with promoting the Native American history, culture, and its values. If the district that I have served for 26 years, and 18 of those as a teacher, values this school in more than the name, it will take immediate action to remedy the wrongs. This community cannot be approached and told we're going to, quote unquote, bring back the culture and the school to where it once was without a core and a foundation. You cannot do this when the school operates vacant of any full-time Native American Board of Education employee. The decision not to keep myself and Ms. Smith full-time does not meet the needs of this community. The building level decisions did not take into account the children, their families, and this community. They are the ones robbed of the people who are passionate about their jobs and the ones who can and have created opportunities with little school and district support. I'm appalled by the treatment that I have received. Instead of being sought after for help and guidance, I'm made to feel like an adversary in a school that calls itself the Native American Magnet School. I have been cast aside like the showcases in the hall that used to be front and center, where I have been seen as a threat and falsely accused of things that I have not done. And now I'm estranged from the school that I considered a special place, a place where I've committed myself to for nearly 30 years. A school that was founded to meet the unique cultural and academic needs of the Native American children. I am not involved at grade levels, common planning, and faculty meetings. These areas are absent of any Native American perspective. I asked the district to review the materials presented. I charge that the Board of Education policies have not been followed, because if they were, I don't believe I would be here tonight. I asked the district to investigate the policies and procedures to see if those so agreed upon were followed. I asked to report those findings. Please tell me if the decisions were fair and equitable. If this district sees this community as an equal partner, then invest the same amount of time, energy, and money as you do in other groups in the district to find the right people for the right jobs. Historically, we have been told how to, quote unquote, fix the Indian problem. I ask that the district pay attention to this community. We are not relics from the past. We are not some trophy to be taken down and dusted off whenever the press shows up. We are educated professionals who hold the abilities to make sound decisions on behalf of this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Heather Germer, and I'm a teacher at the Native American Magnet School. I'm here to present a petition to the Board of Education. We, the undersigned, respectfully ask the Buffalo Board of Education to reinstate full-time status to Miss Bonnie General Vasquez, 7th and 8th grade Social Studies, and Miss Lori Smith, 7th and 8th grade Math at Native American Magnet School number 19. Both of these women are hardworking and talented teachers. Mrs. General Vasquez is our only Native American teacher, and Ms. Smith was responsible for the increases in 8th grade math scores. Following a 2016-17 site-based management team decision, both teaching positions were placed on part-time status in the budgeted 2017-18 school year, thereby removing the aforementioned teachers from our building on a full-time basis. The reduction to part-time status of mathematics and social studies teachers at NAMS 19 from 1.0 to 0.8 resulted in 0.4 left available to spend in other capacities, and site-based management team used this monetary factor in this decision. Unfortunately, this decision to spend the budgeted money elsewhere left a significant void in the dynamic of our school's junior high. The impact of their absence is felt throughout the entire junior high population. Mrs. General Vasquez, in particular, was instrumental in organizing the after-school ACES robotics program, which she, Ms. Smith, and another junior high teacher were trained to instruct. Mrs. General Vasquez secured funding, training, and supplies for the program. She not being here at the end of the day has resulted in the programming being unavailable this school year. The junior high teachers have worked hard to support each other's teaching and curriculum. Behavior incidents are handled with a team approach. Always with the student's best interest in mind, decisions and interventions have alleviated the struggles many schools have with this particular student population. The lack of full-time teacher presence has already led to students testing their limits and missing out on opportunities outside of the school day. For the best interest of our junior high students, we thank you for the attention to this matter and ask for these teachers and their positions to be restored effective immediately. Thank you very much.
Patricia Elliott Patton. Elliott Patton here. Franklin Red. Red. Okay, that concludes Superintendent.
Thank you, colleagues. A few remarks related to the speakers tonight. I certainly want to applaud the courage of the School 18 staff that came forward tonight to provide a more balanced picture of what is going on and what we've heard about what's going on in School 18. Who indeed had challenges well before Ms. Patel came to the school. She worked quite a few months without an assistant in one of our most complicated and challenging schools in the district, and should be assisted and helped to make the school better. When you get executive leadership in this district, 67% of which is in their first 3 years of leadership, whether it's a principal or assistant principal. Our schools are wonderful schools, but they also are among the most challenging schools to be effective in as a leader in the country. And when you have a full-spirited, active, right-minded leader in a school that's trying to improve it and set a higher bar for accomplishment in the school, then even as she or he makes mistakes, know the heart, feel the intent, and get behind the intent, support the intent, and you'll become a better school sooner than you could imagine. That's what discourages me sometimes, and I won't really accept it. I want to push against it every time. In a already divided country, the last place that we should be divisive in is at school. We should be showing children how we work together, how we overcome differences. Even when we disagree, we can disagree civilly and with respect. We don't try to tear the heart out of somebody's whole professional career. They served their whole life trying to come to this point to be helpful. And I know this individual. She knows she has some things to improve on. Every one of my principals has things to improve on. I have things to improve on. But we have to help each other do this work. This is a challenging body of work, and our students learn by what we do, not by what we say. And if they see us divided, they'll take advantage of that. So get behind the principal. We have a good action plan in place over there, and let's make it work. Let's make it work. And I'm going to look at it every 2 weeks. I'm providing extraordinary support over to that school at this time, and I'm confident that we will have a much better picture and agreed upon view of the progress being made at that school the next time we're together. And if you really still can't work it and still don't like it, put in your transfer papers. I'll find a place for you. But that school is going forward under this principal's leadership. The other point I would like to make is that the sub-union speakers spoke again, and I appreciate Ms. Sapp Burgess' comments. I think that needs to be followed up. I'm not sure what school you're referring to, Ms. Burgess, but we have leaders of schools here, so if you would let one of my people know up here what school that is, or somebody that you know what school that is, I will follow up on that immediately and have those 7th and 8th graders straightened out, I promise. You spoke very well about that. It's a dangerous situation to put them in. I think the sub that spoke the most eloquently and made it clear was Linda Siekman Dugan. So she provided the best update of where we are. We have a meeting again tomorrow, and again, I'm hopeful and encouraged as well. So thank you from the subgroup. I do like the offer that we can help you. We're here to help you. I've always felt throughout my career that a meeting with subs, I want to have one, provides different perspective on what happens day to day with our students and on our schools. A little different. So we'd like to hear from you and learn from you, and also provide you with more support to do your job better. Professional growth and development in this complex world of education today is ongoing. You never know too much to do this work. So keep learning and growing. It's not how much time you've done it, it's how you keep growing every day. So we appreciate you. I thought the parents that came up under the BPTO that spoke out about the NFTA transportation issue are dead on. That's why I had called not too long ago a meeting with the top person from NFTA, Ms. Minkle. We had a productive meeting, but we also said things have to change. It's got to change. And so we're at the table, as I understand it, from my COO, Dr. Eberly. And I would like some of those parents who spoke to be on that conversations committee that we're having with the NFTA. If you'd like to do that, Kevin, make sure you get one or two of them onto that committee. I think that's important. They speak very well about it. And I agree that the bottom line is a one-pass system that's unrestricted, just like parents and what like you and I would have. If we pay $75 a month, it's actually a form of inequality and injustice the way the system is right now. And it's, your voice has spurred us to change it once and for all for the betterment of our students. A couple other speakers spoke, and I think there was a group coming up from the Voices of Unheard Voices, and heard about that production. I think several of our board members did attend that production, and that's fine. You should perhaps film it, and we'll put it up online. We'll put it up online and make it accessible through the district website, and you can let the people see it. We don't have a problem with that. But it is something that communication is a two-way street. So talk with us, and we'll work and talk with you. I think board member McCosey in particular has offered to start to go out into the community and have meetings so that student voice, as Mr. Middlebrook said, can be heard more directly, interact, get to know our board members. I think that's a great idea. The board meeting is certainly one official forum, but it's tight, as you can see in here. We can go out to the community, and staff will assist board members who want to host town hall meetings, if you will, with the community so that students, parents, artistic groups, and all of the like can come and be heard. Finally, I'd like to applaud Mr. Radford for being the first parent that I've heard from, the first person I've heard from in this dispute going on at City Honors. As always, his voice is strong and clear, and I appreciate his courage and timeliness on this issue as we attempt and try very diligently to resolve this issue. But it is one, at the end of the day, it has to do with equity and fairness across the district that I have to be concerned about. Not an internal issue that even the school itself is quite divided on. We'll continue to be constructive and advocate for a good resolve to that issue. So, thank you to all that spoke tonight. We appreciate it. I think you had a School 19 issue was also brought up, and I've heard this issue before. I've talked to the principal, I've talked to members of that community. It's a little bit more to it. And again, just as we've done at other schools, we'll continue to try to find out the full story, and then I think we'll take the appropriate and just action in that case as those facts become clear. So thank you for all of your speaking.
Thank you, Dr. Cash. All right, board members, I have a motion to accept the minutes of December 20th. Motion. So moved, Dr. Harris, seconded by Ms. Pierce. All in favor? Aye. Also also make a motion to excuse Dr. Flanagan Fiore, Mr. Quinn.
Mr. Quinn's coming.
He's coming?
Yes,
Oh, all right.
he'll be here.
Well, motion
7
to,
o'clock.
moved by Ms. Woods and seconded by Ms. Belton Cotman. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, committee reports. Let's start with our student today. She's all set. We'll wait a few minutes to.
NFTA. Right. Right?
I'm looking it up.
You should. You gotta give a good bit plan.
Okay, can I ask the audience to please continue to move out and have your conversations out there?
It's just not fair. It's not right.
Okay, Fadia?
So December 21st, the student council, junior high student council had their annual volunteering meet. This year we volunteered at the Western New York Food Bank. I personally didn't know that students could volunteer there, so it was really exciting for me to volunteer there. We completed tasks such as packaging food items, bagging them, selecting boxes, and making them ready for the shipping. With everyone's teamwork, we completed about 5 pallets full of boxes. And at the end of the experience, I asked one of the students who, on quote, said to me, as a student who participated in the activity of volunteering at the Western New York Food Bank, I believe it was a great opportunity to help my own community out, to understand better my community, and to involve myself with the struggles that we all face together. Everyone worked hard together to get as many packages ready for their new homes, and it was a great experience overall. I hope in the future that students like me are able to collaborate with the Western New York Food Bank, and many more community service projects can be more easily accessible for the students. I believe that community service is the best way of involving yourself with the community and really illustrates the small gestures that students are able to make a difference. That was one of the students at my school. And on January 8th, we had our regular meetings at the old Performing Arts Building. We worked together to define our own definition of activism and how we can involve ourselves with making decisions at the table where it matters. We discussed the code of conduct as well. However, we were going to have a January 9th meeting, which was postponed until March. So we're very excited for that, and we'll share our findings and research on that. These are the pictures as well when we took the volunteering.
Name of the student.
They don't want
Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about an idea that we had shared while she has it before she leaves. So I don't know if you want to do it now or you want to do it later.
Well, you are going to be next in your report, so why don't you incorporate that into your report?
Oh, okay. All right. Executive Affairs met, and we had a presentation for the board in regards to the high school administration process. There was a recommendation, the recommendations presented to the board. The board also requested certain things, and I'm not sure where we are with that, Mr. Brown. If our considerations were used or appreciated or disregarded. They were taken and used. Okay, good. Thank you. Well, we just wanted to know because that was a big one in there. One of the concerns, and to the public who is listening, our concern is to be more uniform in the high school selection process. It has not been, and it has been unequitable. We're working on correcting that, and hopefully next year, if all goes well, and probably a resolution from this board, we will have placement, placing high school students. And we'll talk about that in future committee meetings. As far as what I've done since the break or since our last meeting, I did attend a funeral last Friday. I represented myself on a personal level as well as myself as a board member for Patricia Turner, who was a teacher, administrator, who I've grown to love and know over the past years. And I did speak and thank her family and her for the work that she did. I attended on January the 10th, Bennett Complex. I met with Sue Doyle from Middle Early College. I met with Alvarez, Dr. Alvarez at the New Bennett, and I met with Angela Collins in the research lab, reviewing those schools, and we're going to be working on some different things for each one of those. On the 11th, I did attend the public forum at NFTA. It was at the Jefferson Library. It was well attended. I listened to what our constituents had to say, and we'll take that into consideration when time comes to vote in regards to the NFTA policy. Yesterday, I attended the Burgard Advisory meeting, and one of the things in trying to work with our student representative, who everyone can see is a beautiful Muslim young lady, and in this country, in the time that we are in this country, I think it's important to celebrate our diversity and to salute young women who are modest and choose to cover themselves and be respectful. We have the rainbow, we have those that don't, and then we have those that do. And I think there's an opportunity to share and educate our students. And on February the 8th, it is an international day. Do you want to talk about it a little bit? It is the day.
Yeah, it's the International Hijab Day. It's going to be the first year that it's an actual holiday, and we're very excited. I personally am going to celebrate that day with friends and family.
So I've reached out to the Arab American businessmen in regards to this, and I've also talked to Ahmed, who owns Mandela gas station, about providing scarves or head wraps for young women who want to wear them. And also, I would need some help with putting together an informational note for each one, so that we can understand, and maybe we can take some pictures and come back at the next board meeting and explain to Western New York why you choose to wear your wrap, what's the significance of it, and and do like that. I just think that that would be a good idea, and I hope the board would support me. I'm not sure how we're going to frame it. We just talked to the superintendent the other day, so I'll give Eleanor a call, but so I think it would be a great opportunity for us to get involved in something that's going on throughout the entire world on this day.
And given the other speaker that we had, Khadijah, I could reach out to her as well and incorporate more students in that.
Great. So if we're successful, maybe we'll have 25 to 50 this year, and then next year we can grow it, and that'll be one of the things that you'll leave.
Dr. Harris, too.
The Student Achievement Committee meeting met last Wednesday. The Associates of High School Leadership and the CTE Director updated us on the new innovative high school programs. Board of Ed members were given an opportunity to ask questions regarding the various programs in the schools. Dr. Cash invited board members to select programs perhaps they have expertise or interest and join advisory committees in these programs. I charged each principal of these programs to think about what they would do to show off their programs as the entry point of their schools for visitors and business folks and parents. Dr. Cash asked principals to consider my request and invite me into their school when they have created something special that they are advertising. So I'm hoping the associates followed up. They're all gone. Oh, they are gone. I don't know if they're over there. So I'm looking forward to those calls, and I have not received one yet, but that's okay. In addition, at the work session, I shared with the board the tentative plans for the district's celebration of the African American Read-In for 2018. The African American Read-In Committee selected Dr. Virginia Batchelor from Medaille College as the featured author. She is the author of the book, Stop Calling Me That, My Name is Araminta. The illustrator is Mr. James Cooper III, who is a teacher in the adult ed program. On February 9th, the district will celebrate the African American Read-In with Dr. Batchelor reading and discussing with third grade students at School 82 and two other sites her book. This event will be video streamed. So with that being said, I would like to present a motion, if I may, Chairman Dr. Nevergo, a motion to approve funding for up to $2,000 for Dr. Virginia Batchelor's honorarium, the live streaming, and books titled Stop Calling Me That, My Name is Araminta, for students as part of the African American Reading Program on February 9th, 2018. And I just need a second.
Second.
Thank you.
Ms. Woods, is there discussion?
Can you go over what age group it is again, Dr.
Well, we're going to focus on the Early Childhood Center this year. So it's third grade, where she'll be reading and discussing the book with. And it will be live streamed for all the ECC schools in the district.
Any other questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank
Motion
you. And
carries.
please come out. Please come out. It'll be advertised widely. So please come.
That's the date?
February 9th,
February
2018.
9th,
We will
okay.
start at School 82, and then there'll be two other schools that I don't have that information for. Thank you all.
Ms. Woods?
Last Wednesday, the Finance and Ops Committee met, and there's a presentation on the savings, $380,000 from the substitute management analysis plan. And the question was presented that, well, they're working out the contract, but the question was presented that given the need of diversity and role models for our students in the schools, that there needs to be a plan to take some of the substitutes, the teachers' aides, and other people in the community to bring them in to be professional teachers so we can have more diversity and role models for the good of our students. They need to see role models and people like themselves in positions of authority so they know what they can become. The 4-year financial plan update was presented, and a summation of the changes and reductions and increases to various lines was given to our CFO, and he was asked to explain the significant changes, and he said he would do so.
Ms. Woods, that's been sent to everyone. Those answers were sent to everyone today.
Today?
Oh,
Okay.
Blue line.
On January 11th, I did attend the NSTA forum, and the consensus of the community was if they pay full price, they want full service, and I can't really argue with that. I attended, and I quote me for each of the members, I attended the City Honors Keeping the Dream Alive program. It was excellent. I met the founder there who let everyone know that one person can make a difference. It was a wonderful program, and they focused on the achievements of Dr. King. I also went to the breakfast honoring Dr. King at 8:30 in the morning on the holiday, and all the elected officials was there. Hope Jay and Ms. Nicosi also attended, and they did a wonderful presentation on why we must keep hope alive, fight for equity, fight for changes. They just went over all the different current events.
Keynote speaker was fabulous, by the way. And I believe he has a DVD available. We're just trying to, yeah.
New Hope.
Absolutely fabulous. Very inspiring. Wonderful speaker.
And that was absolutely wonderful. And then I went to visit one of my schools, Emerson, which you guys think of as a culinary arts school. But they have a robotics program, coding program, and the jobs of the future are they're going to have robots doing a lot of things that people do. And the reason we don't have as many, we have a lot of vacancies and demand in that area for coding robots. One of the examples was the military people who lose limbs, who get hurt. And they have robotic arms that can help you to grasp things. But they can't produce as many because they don't have coders. And that is a demand job in the future. And I'm really proud to say Emerson is moving forward in that. And we honored this Teacher of the Year from Emerson. So that's my report on some wonderful things happening at my schools.
Ms. McCosey.
Okay, so I went to and was a judge for the August Wilson monologues at the Newcomer Academy at Lafayette, and what an experience to see some of these young folks who haven't even been in the country for, more than 4 to 5 years, like literally take on this role of memorizing and acting out scenes, and just did a wonderful job. It was so hard to judge that and find the top 3, but
You didn't pick Emerson?
no, this was at the Newcomer Academy. But that was amazing, and I plan to follow up and go to the next competition that regionally. Went to the city budget public engagement meeting last night, where you have it's the first time they've actually had a public engagement on their budget. So what it is that the community wants to see happen with the $500 million, and I was pretty shocked to hear that there's this disparity between what the Common Council does and what the Board of Education does. They've kind of been lumped together in some of the statements, and I feel like there was a lot of wire and truth, a lot of public at the Board of Education is their money that is allocated to us. We haven't had an increase in years, and then when we did last year, it was because of advocacy, and Council President had said that he would address the board on these issues, and the word committee was mentioned, and Larry Scott did a really great presentation around just how much money has been coming to us and what has been done. And there's a lot of money, a lot of issues around why the police budget is being raised continuously, but the Board of Education budget in our schools and our children are not. So I feel that needs to be uplifted, and we were given, it was almost in a positive light that we need assistance and not, what are we doing with our money? So the committee word was formed, and I'm going to be reaching out big time to see what that looks like. So if they do reach out to anybody, please include me, and we'll get folks to get on that. January, makes a couple announcements. January 22nd, this is in kind of clear response to the communication piece that came up with the Unheard Voices. I've been talking with Eric Rosser, and we've kind of put a plan together, a lot based on the Unheard Voices and some of the, mixed messages that was sent out and how there were mixed feelings. So we want to put a common ground to that. On January 22nd at Waterfront Elementary School, we're going to be working with and trying to bring all the CBOs that we currently work with within the district. So it's about 100 CBOs that have RSVP'd, and we're inviting them to kind of focus on the area of strengthening partnerships with strategic partners, which is part of Dr. Cash's plan, and meeting with these partners who are providing services to students and families in district schools, and better align our collective approach with delivery services to students and parents. The meeting will focus on sharing with partners the new education bargain and the district's approach with guaranteeing pathways to opportunity for students and parents that will lead to achievement success. So basically, it's getting to the bottom line and making sure we're all on the same page with the CBOs that we're currently partnering with. And I will be working with this group, and my role is to, with my community engagement and what I do for a living, is to strengthen the direct relationships with these partnerships. And then I am on a leave from work for a month, so I'm working with Eric to do community-based meetings where we're going to kind of poll other community-based organizations who currently are not partnering with us to see what they may be able to bring to the table and if they'd like to. And again, who will be visited, community-based organizations who have a vested interest in working with parents or students who do not have a relationship right now, and to develop that relationship and to strengthen that. And the role for myself, Eric had put it like a Batman and Robin kind of team where we'll be going out and doing this, doing this kind of meeting with folks, is to serve as a board member, parent, community representative, and co-facilitating the process of identifying new partners to the work of the new education bargain. And that is literally in clear response to this communication gap that we do see. And hopefully, it gets bigger and better than this. But we encourage everyone January 22nd who is a part of the Buffalo Public Schools, who is a CBO, to please come to Waterfront Elementary. Also, I'm going to plug on the 20th, this Saturday, at Lafayette, the Saturday Academy is specializing a workshop on the new Puerto Rican families, like an orientation for the new Puerto Rican families that are coming from 9 to 12. There's a lot of course, every Saturday Academy is doing a lot of great things, but anyone who isn't aware that this is happening, they're going to concentrate on like high school credits and assessments, graduation pathways, SAT and ACT college assessments, college selections, and then directly after that will be the Zumbathon with all proceeds that is made from the basket raffles and whatnot. That'll be, the Zumbathon is basically for Puerto Rican relief. So half of the monies that are raised in these Zumbathons are going directly to Puerto Rico, and the other half are going directly to these families who came in. Surveys have been done as to what these folks need, and we're working with them directly to make sure that we can at least, give what is needed, and definitely looking to recruit folks to come and check this out. So I don't want to take from any other community school, but this effort is pretty important, so.
Great, lots going on. Thank you. Okay.
I just want to give an update regarding the JDAI prevention and diversion subcommittee that I'm a part of, which is the relationship that we formed, Buffalo Public Schools with Erie County Family Court. And myself and Dr. Rosser are on that committee along with various other people from all different walks of life in family court. So the purpose of that committee is to reduce the number of children that are sent to placement through family court, specifically with regard to truancy. And we have a new intervention that's up and running now. We have attendance administrative hearings that I do believe have started, or February 6th they'll be starting. So it's an intervention that's geared towards what we call tier 2 level students who have between 5 and 10% of absences and a history of poor school attendance. And the purpose of this is to bring the parents together with the children and the family support specialists to determine early service or early intervention and what services can be provided to prevent the children from escalating into the more severe truant issue. So we're getting this together and seeing whether or not this is an intervention that's going to assist these students so that we can divert them from the family court system. I know that we're looking at having these hearings being held either in our community schools, or there's a possibility that they can be held in local agencies or community agencies that might be willing to partner with us, and I know that staff is going to be looking into that. So I'm excited about this. I think that this is a really great issue that we have been able to bring to fruition. There's a lot of different people at this table, and everybody has put a lot of work into bringing this forward. So I know that we're going to be getting some reports as far as whether or not we're actually making a difference with this. Of course, that's the most important thing. Number two, I just want to, because I know, again, that the public is listening, I just wanted the people to be aware that myself and Mr. Quinn, we have been having discussions about bringing forward the issue of food allergies in the district. It's something that was specifically an issue with a student at Homestead 64, which is one of my schools. And I come to find out with some conversations with different cabinet personnel that we do not currently have a district-wide policy on this issue. So my understanding, and I did speak with Ms. Kottman, that it's going to be on the agenda for the next Executive Affairs meeting, which is scheduled, I believe, on February 7th. So we're looking forward to having a full briefing on, the history of how we've been dealing with food allergies in Buffalo, and perhaps some information about how other districts deal with this, and hopefully we'll be able to develop a policy that makes sense in Buffalo to avoid any further issues taking place that could potentially harm our students. I have an announcement. I don't know how many people are aware, but the Miss Buffalo Scholarship Competition is taking place on January the 28th at 710 Main Street. The Miss Buffalo competition is a preliminary competition to Miss New York and Miss America. And it is a scholarship competition, so for students to win money for college. Any student is eligible. Buffalo Public School students are eligible, just the age ranges between 18 and 25. The actual person who organizes this competition is a teacher in our schools. So he had asked me to get the information out. We're all invited. He'd like to see us attend. And again, it's on 128 at 710 Main Street. The website is www.missbuffalonewyork.org. And lastly, I just wanted to say that I am confirmed to attend the NISPA conference in San Antonio, Texas, which is in April, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Thank you. Mr. Quinn, you got your destiny.
On the committee report, and I don't know how you want to do unfinished business. Sometimes you do it now or later. So.
But we've been folding you in those things.
It's really just what's the status? What's the status of the application of the Wilson Foundation for that program? We brought it up a year ago. Our last meeting, we had a presentation. It was wonderful, but I was very disappointed that we haven't even gotten around to applying for the money to make the application for the facilities here. So I would like to know.
Since Dr. Cash isn't.
Yeah, so that's my main issue. What did we apply yet?
Dr. Nagy, I can update.
We wait until Dr. Cash comes back.
Sure, absolutely.
Ms. Pierce?
Okay, last week at our Educational Support Committee meeting, a presentation was made regarding our Global Scholars Participation Program. We were updated on future efforts to enhance the program. A lovely interactive slideshow was shown to the board, which showed the actual global scholars in their classroom participating with students from around the world. It's kind of an interesting feature. This then led to a discussion with principals who were in attendance in the audience that night, and central placement personnel, and that discussion spilled over into Dr. Harris Teague's committee, student support or student achievement. I would like to make an announcement with regards to our next Educational Support Committee meeting, which will be held on February 7th, that there will be a presentation from the 4 high school principals from the high schools that are receiving their inequitable placement of students and what its effect has had on their data, their graduation rate, their attendance rate, some ongoing situations with some violent behavior. So these principals will be prepared to come forth and answer any and all of the board members' questions that we may have. It will be, our meetings are only an hour, so I ask if you have any questions that you come in with them prepared ahead of time. We will also have a presentation from members of the engineers department. Engineers have been an integral part of this district for the entire time that the district has been up and running. A few of them have agreed to come in and present to the board just to give us a little history of how their jobs evolved, what they do in the buildings, what their custodial staff is involved in. And it is not to talk about anything with regards to contractual issues or any pending managerial issues. It is just simply to afford the Board of Ed members the opportunity to ask what takes place in their buildings, what's expected of them, the chores that they perform, 24 hours of availability that they are responsible for. And it's just for a little clearer understanding that we as board members, I believe, have never really had an opportunity to hear from them. And that concludes my report.
Are you going to share the four?
The principals,
schools?
They are South Park, IPREP, Burgard, and MST.
Thank you. I would like to report just briefly on the annual meeting of the Big Five, which I attended January 11th and 12th in Yonkers, first time in Yonkers. Dr. Maurizio and Mr. Weimer.
Was it warm there?
I'm sorry?
I said, was it warm there?
No, it wasn't. Well, yeah, it was. It was one day the same day this year. But the Big Five is now really the Big Five plus two. They have two affiliates. The most recent one just added as of 1st of February, I think. But Utica and Mount Vernon school districts are now affiliate school districts. And even though they're not Big Five school districts, many of the issues that they confront are the same issues that we have. And that's why it made sense for them to become affiliate members. Also, some of their legislative leaders, some of their legislative representatives are leaders who can have a positive impact on the education issues that we deal with. One of the things that I learned very pleasantly is that the Regents is still working on alternative pathways for high school graduation, and they're adding a new one, a fourth pathway, which deals with students who are trying to get their GED. And we know that very often students leave school before, of course, they graduate, but they do earn some Regents credits. And so this pathway is going to promote allowing the use of Regents credit, whether it's ELA or math or social studies, to actually take the place of one of the tests in the GED, now called the task, so that students are, that they are encouraged, one, to do that, but also they're encouraged to know that if they leave school and they have some credit, they will not lose it, they'll be able to apply it. At this point in time, that pathway has not been approved by the Regents because there were some legal questions that they have to go back and have a 30-day public comment. But the Regents is very much in favor of this, and so we're sure that it will pass. And of course, when that happens, I'm sure that staff will let us know. The one thing, though, that students who do take advantage of this pathway will not be counted toward our graduation aid, fortunately, but we'll get some credit having to do with what if they get adult.
The dropout rate of the district does go down
Right.
when they
Okay.
pass the exam.
So we do get some credit for it, but it will not accrue to the graduation rate. Chancellor Rosa came to this meeting had lunch with us, and really kind of talked about the state of education in the state and the focus of the Regents on equity. That's a major theme that they're looking at. But also, they're in the process, again, of looking at the APPR. As you know, there was a moratorium put on it when the governor appointed his Common Core Commission, look at the Common Core and the test. And now, after 2 years, I guess, moratorium, looking at what happens next with the APPR, and what they have not received is a lot of comment from board members as well as superintendents. So they're looking, she's looking for feedback from the field as to what, our thoughts are concerned about the APPR. State Regis is also looking at this issue of the licensing, proposed licensing of charter school teachers, and teachers specifically for charter schools, because of the major impact that it has upon the teaching profession, one, and certainly the teachers who we look to recruit to come to any district, and the credentials that they are required to receive. So the Regents apparently is having I won't say a war, but certainly some conversation, some very strong conversation with the SUNY charter department that is looking at licensing specifically for charter schools. Commissioner Elia also addressed the group and stressed the same issue, again about the APPR and getting feedback from the field. And she also talked about the teacher shortage and the fact that one of the things the state is doing is looking at how they can increase the certification for teachers of children with disabilities, to give them a broader ability to serve children at different levels with their certification. So that's something they're working on. We talked about 2018-19 state budget priorities, and of course, even though each district has some separate priorities, we also have common priorities that we, when we go to lobby and we go to talk to legislators, we go as a group, and that certainly increases our voice and our ability to support for the kinds of issues that Big Five schools are facing. Charter school tuition, as you know, was increased this year, and we are going to be reimbursed, as I understand, for this year, next year. But the following years, we were told that charter school increases will not be reimbursed to the district. So that's going to be something that we should take a look at and talk about.
Clear that up again. Which is not going to be transportation?
No, not transportation. There was a tuition, there was an increase to the tuition, $500 per student this year. But we did not receive that monies this year. We're going to be reimbursed for that next year. Is that right, Jeff?
Yeah, so the way that was designed to work was that the supplemental tuition increase was always going to be 1 year, so pay it in this year, get it in the next. The way the law was written last year, it was designed to go into the future. I haven't gotten through all the legislation,
well,
if he's tried to strike that out of the budget, then that's certainly
This is what we were told.
That's certainly something we'll have to lobby
that we
heavily
should look
for.
at, yes. That going forward in the next years, that we will not get that money back.
Right.
Although you know that the governor has proposed a 3% increase for districts in the budget. So lobby day, I believe, is February 25th. And that's a time for any of us who want to go down and be part of the lobbying experience with members of the Big Five that we encourage. I know Sharon has done it. I've done it. Jen. So I'll get some more information about that.
The 25th of this month?
February.
February.
We have to. Okay. We also visited several schools in Yonkers, and they have the only Montessori K through 12 school in the nation. So as we look to try to go back to whether or not we're going to expand our Montessori, there's a model for us to look at. We also visited their education program, Saunders Trade and Technical High School, which has something like 11 CTE programs, I think, automotive, cosmetology, graphics, carpentry, culinary, and so forth. Graphics was really a wonderful program. And so that was my visit to Yonkers. I also just want to note that on Monday, I was a keynote speaker for the MLK Junior Luncheon in Dunkirk. The theme was the power of love, building bridges, tearing down walls. Great.
What about Sunday? What about Sunday?
Sunday, I'm going to just mention that because Dr. Cash didn't mention
I do
this himself, that Dr. Cash also keynoted Martin Luther King Jr. celebration on Sunday at Kleinhand's Music Hall, and he did a fantastic job. I forget what the theme was for that.
Breaking the chains of injustice.
Breaking the chains of injustice. There we go. Building walls, building bridges, tearing down walls while breaking the chains of injustice. That's the thing. Hard work. Okay. Mr. Quinn, do you want to go back to your question?
Yeah, I wanted to know the status of the application for the funds to make an application for facilities.
So the application was released in November, about mid-November, by the Wilson Foundation. We had been anticipating it would be released earlier. So when it was released, we were pretty much done.
What does that mean, it was released?
So the portal where you can apply, the application was released in November, meaning that you could not apply before November, this past November. So when it was released, we worked and used our information we had gathered to fill it out based on what was in the application. It was ready probably late November, early December, and we are at the point now where we were finalizing, working with the city to make sure they had their input as well. And at this point, we are ready to submit. We are waiting on one detail from the city as well as one funding detail to move it forward.
This application is to prepare for architectural services to prepare a full application for facilities.
For the design and development of the 10 different sites.
How much money are you requesting?
The initial first phase is about $137,000 for the design and development, also including the indoor facility. And then after that, the larger application will be in the $20-30 million range or more.
And you're going to develop what level of drawings for $137,000?
So so this is not my area of expertise, but I can read to you what they're doing: the topographic surveys, the bounds survey, the utility surveys for all 10 sites, and then the work on the indoor facility as well.
Okay, well, none of that's designed, and none of that will get you cost estimates. So we've been talking about this for a year, and it seems to drag on for a really long time. Topo surveys and utility surveys, that's rudimentary stuff. I mean, you've got to do at least through schematic drawings to have any idea what the costs are. So are you not requesting that in this application?
So I believe that, and I can get a further delineation from the grant writers and the architect that's working with us, but I believe the schematic drawings are part of that.
Luciano?
Larry, that's certainly not enough money for schematic design.
Of course not, that's why I'm asking, yeah.
I couldn't give you an exact number right off the top of my head, but to do site surveys, to look at the infrastructure that's at the sites.
My understanding was we were really developing the initial survey that was done by Greg Gabriel, then there was some equity study that Shy Foundation funded. But, we're going around a circle, and the reality of it is, if you don't go through at least schematic drawing, you won't even know what you're proposing, what it costs, and then you won't be able to apply. It doesn't sound like what you're proposing doesn't get us too far, so I would ask that we get an update on this and have some meaningful input, because this seems to be treading water to me.
Sure. Joe, maybe you can, you've been at the meeting, so maybe you can update on a little more detail. I may be missing some of the, professional details of that application, so are you able to expand on?
Dr. Mauricio, I think this is the subject of a meeting specifically, not for that. I know you wanted the information.
I think it should be brought to the next committee meeting in detail, and I think, it's time we do this and do it.
Okay, but we need to have a meeting where we can focus on that, okay? All right, thank you.
Fair enough.
All right, so may I have a motion, please, to accept the consent agenda? All right, Ms. McCosey, seconded. Ms. Pierce, all in favor? All right, 10 A, and the questions no close there.
Yeah. So, I'm very curious as to what is the follow-up after this? Not just for the amount of money that we're spending, but because the goal is to help serve, underserved communities, especially those in the diverse areas. I know that there's surveys that are gonna go out, but is any of that gonna lead into like music programs or anything that's gonna service the youth or the adult learners that are gonna go to these concerts after? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what's the follow-up after? Because if it's this like one-shot concert thing, we got a survey and then we're done, like.
Well, I think the ultimate goal is that the music educators are able to inform their own instruction by working with these, or at least seeing what the students are experiencing and having conversations with the students about what they're experiencing. But there's no program based on that afterward. So it doesn't automatically lead to something else. We can try to work more of it into our ELT programs. We are trying to increase the amount of music that we offer in those programs. We want to offer more Suzuki. We're looking at ways to purchase more violins and things like that.
Okay.
So we do want to expand and grow the experiences that the kids are having, and this would be a starting point.
So based on like the surveys that will determine like what instruments to get, or like I just wasn't sure like what was going on after the survey. So I get now that the educators will work from that, but what is their criteria to pick up on?
Sure, I haven't
You know
seen
what
the
I mean?
surveys
So-
personally, so I can.
But
work
if
with
I
the
can get
music
one, that'd be
supervisor,
great.
Yeah, we can put them down together if you like.
Cool, I think it's an awesome idea. It's just if it was one and done, I would have been disappointed. But cool, thank you.
17C, Ms. Woods.
17C is a pretty small item. It's only $19,000, and it's basically just to print postcards that we're going to mail to the city of Buffalo, advertising our community schools. And for something that's that small amount of money, I looked for where was there any kind of opportunity for, say, the Ink Spot on the west side, or any of the small minority businesses who could do something this little, to see that, the board passed that MBE, WBE policy, and I just don't see any evidence that we're trying to expand our outreach or give an opportunity to the minority community to bid on this. I'm looking at this, and the winning bidder is out of Lancaster, and their MBE EEO report says they don't have any African Americans, Asians, or Native Americans, or Hispanics working for them. Can somebody explain to me, what are you doing to expand the opportunity for all of the community to fully participate in the business of this board, this Fremont budget?
Great question. I think that's the right question.
Right. Well, when the bid goes out and the sheet is attached to who the bid went to, I think it goes out to known quantities, and it goes out on our website, and it goes out to small publications, and whoever answers. And then whoever's got the lowest bid, who meets the recs of the RFP.
So it
Yes,
didn't go out to any minority businesses? I mean,
It did.
I just mentioned a couple.
I do not, yeah.
On the sheet that lists who they went to, in parentheses, it indicates if they're a WBE or MBE, and those are the people that we sent them to. So it was sent to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, a number of people. Panther Graphics it was sent to, and they're an MBE. PJ Green, Inc. is a WBE. It was also sent to 21st Century Press on 501 Cornwall Avenue, which is a WBE. So it was sent to WBEs and MBEs. So we can't control who responds or force anyone to respond, right? But we do send it to MBEs and WBEs that we can, and then we hope that they do respond.
I thought Mr. Quinn suggested that we use the internet. I mean, it's time to upgrade your procedures, people.
I suggest we use Facebook.
But that's assuming that there's a whole bunch of MBE or WBE printing companies, right? So I believe the purchase department trying to work with the cabinet members are trying to find NBEs and WBEs for each of these areas, and we are attempting to still send them to the ones that we can. So we are making an effort in trying to.
So do I have to add the e-spot to your list?
Please do.
What?
Please do. If there are other companies you know, please do, Ms. Woods. We appreciate that.
We have Ms. Belton Cotton.
Well, is your question on this? 'Cause mine piggybacks off of this.
Yeah,
Okay, go
mine
ahead.
too.
Oh, yours too? Well, I'll do mine then. Okay, well, I guess my concern here is that when we originally, and we had promised, and I was at the meeting when it was promised that we were going to have at least quarterly meetings for minority vendors. Okay,
all of it.
and that was supposed to be happening on a quarterly basis. I don't know how it fell off the. People want to say they didn't say it. I was there. I heard them say it, and people have since asked me about it. When are you going to have your next minority business information session? So it's one thing to have a policy. It's a whole nother thing to be making sure that we're doing our due diligence and not informing the public and not having these meetings on a regular basis is, to me, not doing your due diligence. The other thing that I'd like to say about this is that we have students that can do a small job like this. And charity begins at home. And I don't understand if it's a postcard, why we are not utilizing our own students to do things like that, to at least get them up and running. It's just a question that I want to know. I mean, I understand we have printing going on at 2 schools now.
East Community School, the Pathways, I think it is. Mrs. Conrad, her group.
The old Riverside.
And we have it at McKinley. So for this amount of money, we could have used our own students, and I'm sure they would have came up with some great ideas.
Okay, gentlemen, before you, yes, let's get the questions out, and then I assume you have something to say since you stood up. Mr. Cozy.
So Sharon just said what I was going to say, something for that amount of money and utilizing that's a learning experience. It's a way for us to be able to get the youth to design it, whatever it is that we're doing. If it's for 19,000, it could be a project. It could be something along those lines. So I was literally like, why aren't we using the students? And if we only have 2 schools that have print shops and we have so much communication issue, we need to up how many schools have print shops. That's all I'm going to add to that.
I was just going to say, I don't know, last year I guess it was, as we were talking about the NWE, it was real clear that we have to do some different things. We have to be creative because we have businesses in the community who are just not aware and who just don't see it in the Challenger, the Criterion, some of the smaller Bs. So we've got to do something different. And they're not used to seeing them, so they don't apply. They're not sure what it is, where it is. So at that point last year, Dr. Cash, I think it was your suggestion that we would have some sort of open training to get people involved to understand how these RFPs from this district work. And I think it's sorely needed. I think it is. I think we owe that to the community to do that. And once we know that it is really out there, that this information is saturated out there, then we can expect them to apply when they see it. But that's just not the case, honestly, in this community. And this is something that I can think of too. There's a printing place on Jefferson, right before Ferry. I probably could have handled this as well. Doc, what's his name? He does phenomenal work. Could have handled this stuff, and I can get this information to you. But these folks not been in the game, so they kind of don't know how it works. And I think it behooves us not to open it up, be transparent, go overboard, overkill to get people to understand that in our community. Then I think you'll see them apply.
Mr. Weimer.
We have 2 programs right now. One at McKinley High School, which is more of a traditional print shop, and then we have a Xerox program at East, which is really in its 2nd year. I don't know that, I'm not an expert printer, I'm going to defer to Tino because he knows a little bit more about the printing business, but when we do offer things to McKinley and they do work for the district, but at some point, some of these things are too big and too cumbersome that it kind of gets in the way of what we're trying to teach along the lines of their curriculum. So that's kind of where we are with this. It's a balancing act.
And I think for each individual job, exactly that, it would be individual. So a $20,000 printing job, just for say, it may appear small compared to what we're dealing with on a regular basis and approving it within our board. But a $20,000 printing job can also be quite substantial. The difference between doing a 2-color and a 4-color job, how you cut it, what's the size of the postcard, what is legal for mail to get out, and so that it makes it a certain cost, how it gets folded. So a process, something like that, like students may be able to do components of that job, but sometimes to do a whole job like that will become extremely challenging and difficult for a
For
program
this
to
one,
handle.
the postcard, it doesn't even get in the folding, and they need to do it, this is called an internship. If our students can't do the work that we're putting out, and we're not sending them out the internships to do it, what are we doing?
I'm not disagreeing that it could be. I'm just giving the optics of sometimes how jobs work.
Yeah.
Okay, I worked in the printing business for 20 years.
Right.
Okay, within that, a postcard that may be a 5x7 could be done on an 11x30 sheet of paper, and you have, 6 up or whatever the case may be. And that's how you get to the price that you have. It's not just an individual, we make these postcards one by one. And, that's one, I'm just giving an example.
One by one.
To put it into perspective. Sometimes it's possible, sometimes it's not.
So for this job, would you say it's possible?
I would have to look at that job specifically. I did not look
I
at
like
that
your
job.
feedback on it, since you have that experience. I want to know if this job could have been possible, i.e. in a McKinley. But then again, let's not forget the community businesses.
And we are gearing up and looking at these types of things. We've talked about things that we could do with other CTE areas. So we are looking at that in ways that we can.
This could be done after school, and it could be counted as an internship for
It should be
students.
viewed
in
downtown.
And I know many of those teachers at
BJ's are
McKinley,
doing
they do this stuff, it's just phenomenal. They
Yeah,
provide
they do
them.
phenomenal.
They
They're
do
doing
phenomenal.
Ms. Belton Cotman.
My concern is the entrepreneurship piece that appears to be lacking in our CTE programs. Okay, what it boils down to is simple. If I want to order a postcard right now, I can go to my computer, bring up Sam's website or BJ's website and order as many postcards as I want. Okay, that's a simple fix. What I don't want to hear is the superintendent talks about the year of instruction are excuses. We should be looking at these things internally and coming up with a plan of some sort for our children, even if it means that they work after school and get paid a stipend, okay, and do things. This postcard, give me a break, okay? No one expects a postcard to be printed one at a time. Postcards come out in sheets, and you cut them. Come on. No excuses. Let's start utilizing our students to the degree that they can be utilized. That's an opportunity to teach them skills about entrepreneurship and to move them to another level. Many of them may want to do their own business in the future. Okay, but what I'm telling you right now, any of us can go and order a postcard right now and pay for it either on Office Max or through BJ's or Sam's, and you'd be surprised what you get. I recently did one for my father's when he passed. It was beautiful. It had a bunch of colors on it. He was in a tuxedo and it was blue in the background. Come on. It was a postcard. It was done by Sam's and it was very, very reasonable. So what I'm just trying to say is let's start looking at these things before you bring them to the board and seeing if it's an opportunity for our children. We have children, we have a very poor district here. Children are, and this could be life or death for some child. Be having an opportunity to work on this and make an extra $100, $200, $300 in their pocket. That could be huge for them. Okay, so we got to start looking at things in a different manner.
Darren, with the minority contractors that you solicited for this work, did any of them bid? And the second part of that is it's really we can answer later, but those that didn't bid or did bid, do you do any postmortem? Do you call and say, hey, why didn't you bid?
What we do with every RFP, we have a sheet attached, which asks them if you're not planning on bidding once you receive this announcement, please indicate and tell us why. So that gives us additional information in the future. So we do that.
Do you get
and
answers?
we do get some back. That question was asked to Mr. Yates at the last time we do get answers back. If
I
we
would
don't-
focus on smaller projects like this, I mean, this is the opportunity. Obviously, if somebody doesn't bid, they don't bid, but I think we ought to try to understand better what the barrier is.
And where's the train?
Because it just
Where's
doesn't,
the train?
doesn't make sense that something wouldn't be, maybe they're busy, maybe, I don't know what the deal
But maybe
is.
they are.
Maybe they
And
don't
that-
feel
we don't know.
And we
Yeah,
also
they ain't
sent it
gonna
to
do.
the disabled veteran-owned business program, that's a good identification too. So that's a place we will look at the information.
I mean, and it's more than just reading the survey. I think there's a finite number of people, 10-minute phone call with each would be.
Yeah, we can give you
And let's
names
look at the
and stuff
issue
and-
too of getting paid on time. That's
Maybe-
one of the
maybe
major
an issue.
concerns. People
We
doing
do hear
business
that.
with board.
Yes, we do hear
And
that.
so small businesses can't wait.
Yeah. No, if you're a slow payer, you can
Yeah.
bankrupt them pretty
Yeah.
easily.
Okay, that was all that we had on the consent agenda, all the questions. So now I will ask Mr. Kuzma.
Consent agenda, Mrs. Bell.
No exception.
Dr. Harris take.
I recuse myself from 8C, line 6, and no exceptions other than that.
No exception.
Ms. McCosy?
No exception.
Come back here, she.
I had the
No
right
exception.
password.
Ms. Woods?
Objection to 17A, printing things. You didn't do it. You didn't do it.
I think it's 17C.
17C.
Get it.
Not present, never voted.
No exception. Okay.
Any wait for Mr. Cruz, otherwise the consent agenda goes past with the vote.
Move forward.
Okay, thank you. We do have an executive. I would like to, after I ask for the motion for the executive, as usual, I'd like to recognize bereavements. So please stay until do that. I may I have a motion to go into executive. I'm sorry, but I'm going to ask for the motion first before we do the recognition of the. I have to read the motion first.
Oh, you got them?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to get out of here.
They have a motion to go into executive session to discuss the following. One, to discuss negotiations of substitutes united of Buffalo and the Buffalo Teachers Federation. 2, to discuss the potential discipline of specific district employees. 3, to discuss pending litigation between Chandra Martin and the Buffalo Board of Education. 4, to discuss negotiations for the lease of real property located at 75 West Huron Street. And 5, for the purposes of receiving legal advice involving IRS-related issues. Now, Ms. Belvin Cotman moved, Dr. Six seconded.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Now, if we would please rise. I'd like to remember and memorialize the following individuals. On December 23rd, Rose N. Hosher, mother of Kim Hosher, Director of Special Education, passed. January 2nd, Michael P. Higgins, father of Carrie Higgins, instructional technology coach. January 4th, Anna Ferguson, mother of Denise Ferguson, PS 309, teacher assistant. January 9th, Frank Trulizio, brother of school 205 teacher, Anthony Trulizio. January 10th, David A. Burdette, father of Amy Burdette, PS 37 teacher. January 13th, Susan K. Abbott, PS 91, teacher assistant. January 16th, Jacqueline Woodbeck, retired principal, PS 4. And January 16th as well, Junius Baines, cousin of Dr. Harris.
We had also Patricia Turner, mother of Michael Turner and sister of Michelle Morgan, retired teacher. Bring it here and show me what you
I left it right here.
I'm sorry?
My daughter puts the bedside no leader. I knew that.
Those little
She's got Oh, I gotta show you.
All right, the board is returning from executive session. The board went into executive session to discuss negotiations with Substitutes United of Buffalo and the BTF, to discuss potential discipline of specific district employees, to discuss pending litigation between Chandra Martin and Buffalo Board of Education, to discuss negotiations for the lease of real property located at 75 West Grand Street, and for the purposes of receiving legal advice involving IRS-related issues. The board did take action on the discipline of a specific district employee. Now, may I have a motion authorizing a settlement amount not to exceed $50,000 to settle the New York State Division of Human Rights complaint of Chandra Martin versus the Buffalo Board of Education, case number 1018104. The superintendent is authorized to execute the agreement. Moved by Mrs. Belvin, seconded by Dr. Harris Stig. Do a roll call.
Yes.
Dr. Harris Day?
Yes.
Ms. J? Yes. Ms. McCosey?
Yes.
Ms. Pierce?
Yes.
Mr. Quinn? No. Ms. Woods?
Yes.
President Everbo?
Yes.
Motion
Right.
passes.
Thank you. I have a resolution regarding retaining legal counsel to assist with negotiations with Local 409. Whereas the Internal Revenue Service completed an audit for the 2014, 2015, 2016 calendar years that included a finding that all contract amounts paid to building engineers are taxable wages, and that the custodians hired by the engineers are common law employees of the district. And whereas the implications of the aforementioned audit require substantial changes to the collective bargaining agreement that is presently in effect between the Buffalo Board of Education and Local 409, and whereas the district and board require the assistance of a law firm that has handled similar circumstances in the past, and therefore be it resolved that the superintendent and general counsel are authorized to negotiate a professional services agreement with a competent and professional law firm to assist in negotiations with Local 409 in an amount not to exceed $100,000. I have a motion to accept this resolution. Mr. Quinn, second. And Ms. McCosey, any discussion? All.
Mrs. Valentine? Dr. Harris Day?
Yes.
Ms. J?
Yes.
Ms. McCosey?
Yes.
Ms. Pierce? Mr. Quinn?
Yes.
Ms. Woods?
Yes.
And President Everbo?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Thank you. Motion to
So
adjourn.
moved.
You don't want them to get a lawyer?
Oh, Lord.
That's a good time. Oh, thanks. You want them to have a lawyer?
Nobody believes me.
They didn't announce the lawyer.
It's there.